T20 wedges, boys.
T20s.
58 degree 08 bounce, T20 Mizuno grain flow force HD. I quite like the Mizuno wedge, to be honest. I've gained them. We're going to test them. There is some finishes that we'll talk about. We're also going to test with the old bucket test. Seems to be, it's all about spin when it's wet now. I wonder why it wasn't spin when it was wet. I mean, it's rained since the dawn of time, as I understand it, but obviously wet rain on golf balls is what you got to say your wedges on.
Yes.
Should we get stuck in? Right, this is about 45 yards and I'm worried I'm going to dodge it. Shall I go first? Get it over first.
Yeah, you go first. Oh, nippy. Beauty. Spin. Oh yeah, shot.
7,000 spin on it.
Nice.
So the shapes, the thing with Mizuno wedges, so if you look, its shape is big. Like, I don't know, is there more groove across the face than other clubs? Like, is this gap smaller than what I'm used to or not? There looks like a lot of face down there, which I think for some might feel like a bit too big. But I quite like it. I quite like a lot of face down there. What's some of them? We get a kind of rounded front edge to not ridiculously straight. Pretty thin top line, but it is slightly bulbous on top here because I think they are moving CG, so we'll do the tech in a second. Yeah, it's everything good. This is the 58. We've got a few other lofts here, 51, and we got a 56.
So you're going to see a little bit more teardroppy look. If this is the, say, the 50,
yeah, 51.
So around 51, so around the sort of 46 up in around the gap wedges, you're going to get more teardrop.
Okay.
And then as it moves up through into your sort of 56s and 60s and 58s, you're going to start to see more rounded sort of looks, so bigger, as you just mentioned then.
And then we've got this one here that's rusting because there's 3 finishes, I think, Dan. Hang on. Did he just bomb my shot? He loves it, doesn't he? He's going home for a cup of tea. He'll be back out in a minute. What are the finishes? So I've got like a chrome and I've got one that's rusting here. Is this just a bad production or is it meant to be doing that?
You've got, really, they say they've got 2 different finishes that they bring out. So you've got the sort of chrome finish that you're seeing there, and then they've got that blue finish.
Yeah, which has always been nice.
Which is always quite a nice one. But then it sort of says, chucks in right at the end.
A raw
finish, which is expected to go sort of rusty.
Yeah, which is doing. I mean, this has only been sat in your studio for you know, a week or what have you, and with maybe a few people in there, you can really see it's starting to go. I guess the rusty is for less glare, and I guess some people might argue it delivers a bit more spin, regardless of the fact that it's actually measurable or not, I guess. What? So it's kind of standard Mizuno feel off that first one. Get up a little.
Get up a little. Oh, a bit short.
Oh, it got on. Just popped it. Look at that. 2.6 spin. So went from 7 down to 2.6. And they landed probably within 3 to 2 yards of each other.
Oh, up a little bit.
That's the one I wanted.
That's 1,000.
1.6. Driver spin. I'm going to do it one more and then I'll let you and Dan have a proper bit of it.
Oh, that's better.
A bit hard, but nipped.
Yeah.
Through it, pin eye. I think that's going to be a meter. I was outside you hitting it. No, that's not it. Yeah, that's the one before. Yeah, I like it. Apart from the fat, obviously, which is me, it feels like a Mizuno, which is only a good thing. Tell us a little bit more about the tech, Danny boy.
Right, so you mentioned earlier as well that you thought that the sort of top edge maybe looked a little bit thicker than what
I like it in gaming position, but then obviously if you turn it over, you can see it's thicker.
So they're trying to push the weight up through the wedge, and you'll see it maybe more, a little bit more, maybe in the 60s and the 58s. Just trying to push that CG a little bit higher up the face. They're just trying to manage your spin a little bit better, is what they're saying.
Vertical stability, I think I read as well. Right?
Vertical stability running right the way through the club again, just trying to help with off-centered strikes.
Because obviously if you hit high and low, the club's going to move the same way as it moves this way. Yeah. It'll move that way as well, so I guess they're trying to stabilise that. Different grooves, was it? Different finishes?
Yeah, so you've got HydroFlow micro grooves that Mizuno have brought in this year. 2019
ones, or is that a different one?
So these are the vertical ones now. Okay. So again, we're trying to strip water away off the face, trying to get it away from the face, just to try and again maintain as much spin as they possibly can.
So that it doesn't drop off.
Correct.
When you're playing in the rain. We will test that, everybody. I feel like this bucket should have its own Twitter account now.
Thick and creamy. Mayonnaise. Lovely.
When I went to a talk with the R&A once, right? they test head shape, CC of head. Not allowed to go over a certain size, is it?
Yeah.
And the guy, so Steve Otto, who runs up the RNA testing, he's like ex-NASA, and how they test is by dunking it in a bucket of water.
Right.
So if you have a volume of water and then you put a volume of club in, if it overflows, then that club's too big. So I thought it was quite fun.
Yeah.
We've got a thick and cream.
We got a thick and cream.
Testing spin claims.
A little clonky for me.
Yeah.
So I just felt like it was a little bit hard off the face. I'm used to feeling maybe a fraction softer.
Which is obviously Grain Flow 4s. This is everything that,
Yeah, that they're offering. Yeah.
So I wonder what's doing that, because it's an acoustic. Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't. It feels fine and soft to me. I know what you're saying.
It didn't feel like bad.
Yeah.
I just compare it to the other stuff that I've tested and played with. It just feels a little bit firmer.
But what's interesting is that the wedges you play are cast. They're not even forged.
Yeah.
So again, it's an acoustic.
Yeah, clicky acoustic
Yeah,
off the
okay.
face. But I love the look of it. I absolutely love this rounded feel off the front. I love that leading edge. It's not too rounded. It's certainly not square. But just that to me. Do you know also I like the fact that the leading edge here with the first groove is just set back a fraction.
Yeah.
A lot of the wedges that you see, certainly the ping wedges, Callaway wedges, they can get quite tight to the front edge.
Yeah.
Whereas I think, like, if I look at Vokey and certainly now Mizuno, pulling that just a little bit further away, for my eye, it just suits it.
The reason they put that low groove in there is for spin.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the low groove that those companies you mentioned put in is a design for. It's not for look. It's because it generates a bit more spin, is what they're saying.
When we've done some recent wedge fitting with you, when or wedge reviews, you've always commented on certainly the ping ones, that you feel like the ping certainly hugged the ground maybe a fraction more, and the Callaway maybe it just hugs the ground.
That bottom groove.
And that bottom groove, maybe that might make you feel that.
Say that.
Whose is that, sir?
Is that not given?
That's not yours, is it?
That's my duff.
Oh dear, duff ball.
But
That's better.
I'll tap that in.
Oh, no grab.
Didn't stop. Oh God. Didn't anything noise yet come out? So I'm just going to go 50 degree here. I do like the shape of the 50. It would really blend, I think, quite nicely with a, don't you dare?
No.
That would blend really nice in a set.
Yeah, I agree.
As wedges go, it's lovely.
Yeah.
It's 56.
56, which I've already, I didn't hit the 56 actually. It is a nice shape. The 60 is the one that looks the biggest. You know, it looks a little bit,
Like progressively getting bigger as you go up the lofts.
Yeah.
Visually.
I know what you're saying with the sound. I would argue that is slightly clickier.
And then your 58, which you've already had a little few wets with.
Yeah, it's a lot of club down by the ball, which isn't a big problem. I feel like I could do stuff with this still. I'm interested in seeing the spin numbers, because none of our approaches there particularly were that grabby, which even on my 7000 one, the one I duffed didn't grab, it grabbed a bit too quick actually. So you're starting 58, going backwards. How does the 58 look and feel?
Looks nice.
Quite big or not?
Like the shape.
You game the 58, don't you normally?
Yeah, I do. I wouldn't say that's massive.
Okay.
Maybe a high toe,
Yeah.
and it's not as rounded as maybe Callaway or other companies as the top.
You can say Callaway, they do exist.
Yeah, as the top up here, but it's like quite straight and high toe, but I like it. Nice.
56, that's the rust. Does the look at that, would that, as an OCD kind of guy, would that worry you, or you're not fussed?
No.
It's going through a transitional stage, that though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of got, it's going to go rustier and rustier as it goes on.
I used to have rusty wedges, and I used to rust the middle bit off, so I looked good. Didn't wear it off. I scrubbed it off.
Yeah, love it, love it.
A little bit of wire brushing.
Yeah.
Little firm. You see how that one would blend nice in a set. I mean, it looks more like a pitching wedge set to me than a wedge.
Yeah, a bit of a thicker top edge on it, which I never go a wedge and
Can I look?
specialised. I'm more
In the set.
set makeup, but I can see why you might. I like the chunkiness at the top too.
Let's go and test these spin claims, shall we, with our old mayonnaise bucket.
Mayonnaise bucket, yeah.
Right, Matt, back in the studio.
Dry and wet time.
Got
58 degrees, 90 yards.
Got the bucket.
10 shots with each,
yes. Let's get the mayonnaise bucket in action.
Creamy as.
Right, 10 wet.
10 wet balls.
Right, last shot, wet, 58 degrees. Our best tester to date, Dan.
Yeah, 87.
Lovely.
On the money.
On to the 90 yards we're trying to go. So both clubs, 88 dry, 87 wet. Launching at 29 wet, launching at 27.8 dry. I'd expect that, a little bit high launch on wet, bit of slip, less grip. So as a club slides, as the ball hits a wet face, it might slide to a higher impact,
Yeah.
giving it that slightly higher launch. 'Cause
That's it.
you've got grip, slip and grip, if you want to think of like 3 ways of that wedge connecting and getting spins and spins dropping off and launches and that. 8,000 to 2, so 8,000 wet, peaking height at 19, averaging 20, so almost the same height, a little lower, even though it launched higher, it went lower. At 10,891, so nearly 900 revs. It's
Nearly 3,000 revs.
nearly 3,000 revs. It's 2,800 revs.
Yeah.
Drop off, dry to wet. Good or bad?
I wouldn't know the answer to that.
So I did a test the other day.
Yeah.
I did a ping wet and dry test just for my own interest, and I was hitting a 70-yard shot.
Yeah.
So quite a full 60 for me this is. I can hit it further, but I wouldn't choose to particularly. We need to just take out, because I did push myself on the last to see if I could push up a further distance than what it did. So I'm just taking that last one off. 9.3 to 7.8. So what's the difference there?
1,400.
To your what?
Nearly 3. So it's double.
Okay,
Mine's
so
double.
I would argue then that the ping possibly has done well, but what could be affecting that?
Speeds.
Well, you're hitting yours 90, I'm hitting mine 70. So if you hit it harder, potential possibly for more drop off.
I'm delivering more loft than you.
Yeah, I'm trying to push mine a distance with less loft, controlled speed. You're just presenting loft at speed, which is going to chuck spins up. So obviously he's got the potential of more slip when it's wet because of the style that you might play.
Yeah.
So I would argue that the Mizuno has done okay, maybe dropped off a little bit more. But I would also argue that possibly these claims are really dangerous, and I can see it from all our other wet testings that we've done, because we start having conversations actually about kind of nothing.
It's so hard to test, isn't it? Like me just trying to hit 90 yards at the same time 10 times in a row is hard enough.
Yeah. So I'm happy if this keeps spin on a bit more when it's wet, but I'm not happy if it does that on the ones I drop slightly short and wanted them to run out. And then I am happy on the ones that I threw a bit longer. So who's doing the maths on how many people are losing short and how many people are hitting it long, or if you're hitting them short more than long, because like it's ridiculous. And then also you've got these random numbers. They don't quote a number, I don't think. I think they just say keep spin on a bit more. Other companies say keep spin on by X amount of revs. Well, at what speed? At what spin loft? Like, it doesn't keep 500 revs on if you chip it a yard, wet to dry, does it? But no one wants that conversation. Everyone latches onto this number, and then it's like the whole, way, this is the answer.
Yeah.
It's clubs trying to sell you equipment. They've got to say stuff. I think the T20s are really nice.
Look-wise, they're lovely.
Feel-wise, like, I agree with Dan. I think you might find nicer feeling ones, but I think they feel good enough. Dan, what would you think?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think that they're a great looking club. I wouldn't pick them purely on feel though.
For me as well, it leads back to my original point that I made, hopefully if anyone watches my SM7 review, maybe I'll post a link down below and up in one of the corners. I made the same point. They will all keep advertising spin at you. They won't be able to push the spin numbers up because spin is controlled, like everything is controlled in this world. So obviously there's a drop off when it's wet. If you can't go above the top end, what can we do in situations where nature pushes the spin down? We'll try and get it back up because that's still within the rules, obviously. Anyone buying these on spin, I think you're being a bit naive. I'm buying on shape, sound, feel, if it fits into my distance, which you could argue then is about spin, but that's going to be more about my feels and ability to strike and how the soles interact with the ground, subject to what I want to do, those kind of things. What would you be buying a wedge on that?
Exactly the same. Looks. I always pick a club up and go, oh, that looks nice, and want to hit it, and then would buy it. I love the sort of basicness of the look on the back. There's not a lot going on. They've got their running bird logo.
Which
it's
is
just
smart.
Yeah, it just looks nice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Shape's good. Feel, I wasn't really that bothered about the feel. Like if I had these in my bag, I would adapt and learn how to use them and keep using them.
Happy.
Yeah, exactly. Like they look good, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah. Comment down below, let me know what you're buying your wedges on or not. The fact that a few manufacturers now are talking about drop-offs when it's wet, is that something that, I mean, who has thought about the drop-offs when it's wet?
Yeah.
Before.
I never did.
Because I'll be honest with you, as a kid, I used to go out dewy mornings and try and get the most spin when it was wet. Because you go wet ball, dry face that I can control, little bit of a fairway bunker. We used to go on a green, 12-foot stover. It was like a wedge or a 9-iron, depending on what side, it was a long bunker. And we could spin, we were like literally counting how far back we could rip them. And I never knew. I used to remember saying to the guys, why is it always spin more when it's dewy? Like what? I thought it was the dew on the green. I didn't understand it. Where now, basically, when you hit a shot, it'll grip and rebound. Sometimes it'll slip and grip. That's the most spin. Sometimes it'll just slip and pop. Impossible within reason to control. If it could be controlled, I think the RNA would ban it. Because that's part of what you've got to be good at. Let's hear down below what you're buying on. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. If you have subscribed, hit that bell icon. Ding, ling, ling, ling.
Ding, 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 ding.
Where's the bell icon, Dan? Have you learned where it is yet? Somewhere. Yeah.